Village of Fredonia, New York, public hearing, 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, 14063 on this September 2nd, 2025. This is a public hearing. Take place from 5 to 15. This is the time and place for the public hearing on local law number 7 of 2025 entitled Local Law Amending Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia to provide for an increased water rate. Proof of publication is shown. We'll call this hearing to order. Being enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia as follows. Section 1, Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia, last amended on March 4th, 2024 by local law number 1 of 2024 is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 287-8A, rates for metered water service within the Village of Fredonia. A, for water supplied by the Village of Fredonia from and after September 2nd, 2025, and for each quarterly period thereafter, the following rates are hereby fixed and shall be collected on all water metered service within the Village of Fredonia. A minimum charge of $30 per quarter at a rate of $7.60 per 1,000 gallons. Note, water rates to the town of Pomfret and town of Dunkirk water districts or other outside village water customers shall be increased accordingly as provided by the contracts with the Village of Fredonia and such outside water customers. Section 2, local law shall take effect immediately upon the filing of the Secretary of State of New York as required by law. We now open the floor. People wanting to address this. First one is James Linden.
Good evening. There's one for public hearing for
The water?
Yes.
She's putting you on. And do you want
Thank
the
you.
regular meeting too?
No,
Okay. All right. Concerning the increase of 60 cents per thousand increase in the proposed resolution for the water rate increase. At 60 cents per thousand, based on the report from the end of the fiscal year 24-25 from your treasurer, and the volume of water that's billed, that 60 cents per thousand should give the village about another $170,000 of revenue, which I find to be exorbitant of increase because according to the treasurer's report, the fund balance was $864,697, which exceeds 20% of the expenses for the year. So you have more than ample fund balance. Your proposed expenses for this year for the water service are $2,120,951. So what you're doing is essentially adding to a more than ample fund balance. And the expenses last year were only $1,858,341. Now, I understand there's increases every year, so you might be over $2 million this year in expenses, but there's absolutely no need for an increase at all. I haven't seen any proposals for doing anything, no cost to reflect in your budget for this year. Of what you plan on doing with that extra money. So at this point in time, there's no need for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Andrew Ludwig.
Hold on, I gotta grab all my stuff here.
Effective governance comes down to trust. Elected officials need to earn and maintain the trust of their constituents, and the public needs to be able to trust that their representatives will make wise decisions that are in the best interest of the village and the tax-paying public. So we're here tonight to talk about a raise in water rates. You trustees could maintain the trust of the public by explaining your decisions answering questions, and taking responsibility for your actions. So what I'm hoping tonight is that in spite of the fact that the rates have already been raised a number of times and a number of times improperly, maybe you could explain why you're raising the rates. As Mr. Linden just said, it doesn't seem to be necessary to raise the rates, but maybe you could tell us why. And then maybe someone could take responsibility for the rates being raised improperly a couple of times recently. And that would go a long way in regaining some of the trust of the public.
Mark Twitchell.
I believe that I signed for the sewer rate increase. However, I'm privileged to speak to the water rate increase. Again, I suspect that the water rate increase is being used to shut down our water facilities. I don't disagree with the rate increase as long as it was being used appropriately. We have many needs: the reservoir, the treatment plant. I could understand why the rates must increase. Certainly they will increase by a factor of 4 if we buy water from the county. So this is a very minor increase compared to what you folks are proposing for us. But in order to pay for this shutting down of the facility, I understand that you need to build up this water fund balance to the greatest amount possible to use as collateral so that you can get the grants that you believe are going to come. So that's my comment on the water rate. I will reserve my comment on the sewer rate increase until the appropriate time. Thank you.
Mrs. Landis.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking you all for holding this public hearing and, in effect, going back to following proper procedures. Indeed, New York State mandates a public hearing and a local law every time a raise in water or sewer rates is considered. However, unfortunately, that didn't happen before every increase during the last 3 to 4 years. More specifically, let's start from the last legally adopted water rate increase. That was May of 2017, when, after adopting the budget, a public hearing was held and a local law was passed, setting the rates at $4.80 per thousand with a $25 flat fee. On August 2022, a public hearing was held properly to consider rate increases again, but the proposed local law was defeated. Still, water rates were increased in the 2023-2024 budget to $4.95 per thousand, and the new rates were implemented without a separate public hearing or a new local law. A public hearing was properly held on February 24, and the adopted local law set the rate at $6.95 per thousand without changing the flat fee. However, further unauthorized rate increases were imposed in the 24-25 budget, raising the rates yet again to $7 per thousand and the flat fee to $30. Sewer rate increases were handled pretty much the same way, with the last legally adopted increase on May 2017 and the last public hearing and a defeated local law on August 2022. Since then, rates were increased twice without state-mandated legal procedures. And today, we're here to consider yet another rate increase of the water to $7.60 per thousand. I have 2 questions, and I will please ask you to answer the questions. First, why? What are you planning to do with the extra money? According to your budget, you started this year with a water fund balance of over $730,000, which is way more than required. No major projects were planned that will come from our local funds, and most of all, we live in Fredonia, where poverty rate is over 21% and the average household income is a bit over $47,000 a year. Yet, we pay our chief water plant operator over $90,000 a year salary, a salary which is way more than the average in New York State. The average is about $64,000, by the way, and only comparable to Williamsville, in Western New York at least, a village with an average household income of $106,000 a year. Same goes for the sewer rate increase that you're about to adopt. Why? For months now, one after the other, you keep saying that you have to fix the mess at the wastewater treatment plant. Respectfully, what mess? Between 2019 and 2023, I believe, close to $5 million were invested at that plant. I know because I secured the money and I signed the contract in 2019 after the board approved it. What happened? I'm sure there's still small projects that need to be done, but I really doubt there is such a mess there. My second question is, what are you going to do about the fact that the people of this village were overcharged for water and sewer for years? Some of you were there every time it happened. I'd like to finish with a personal note. As angry as I'm sure I make some of you when I speak, the truth is none of this brings me joy. As a matter of fact, please take it as an invitation to prove my numbers wrong, because this is our money, not only yours. As for having to stay silent because I'm a member of the old guard, I only have to say this. I don't remember being exempt from the 56% tax increase or from today's increases because of that membership. So please, don't expect me to do so.
Thank you. Is there anybody else speaking on behalf of the water? Yes.
Kathy Furness. I'm concerned about the water increase, followed right after the village increase. What I've done is I've gotten rid of my landline, my cable TV I reduced, got rid of satellite radio, stopped Netflix, stopped getting trash removal. That's what I've done to reduce my expenses, to cover the increase in my property taxes and my water bill. What's the village doing to reduce their rates? And haven't even gotten my school bill yet. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna drop my drawers when I see that. You guys have to stop acting like you're spending someone else's money. It's our money, and you owe us information. You owe us that. Is the village doing anything? And I'd like to say to you specifically, when I asked how much my tax bill would go up, and I threw a number out, 500, and you looked at me and said, oh no, you were right. It went up $498. That was a big savings for me. Meant a lot to me. I'm just tired of paying and paying and paying and not getting that much. I've said in past meetings, I don't use very many of the town's facilities. I take my own leaves down, my own branches down. You never have to come to my house and pick anything up. That's another way I'm trying to save the village money. What are you doing to save me money?
Mayor, speakers. Okay, it is 5:15. There's no other speakers. Are there any other speakers at this time? Are there any other speakers at this time? Are there any other speakers at this time? This time we'll end public hearing at 5:16 on water rates.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Pardon?
Make a motion that we adjourn public hearing.
Motion, we adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second?
Trustee Twitchell?
I thought we were going right into the next.
Right, that one has to be called. They're all separate. They'll be called to order each individually.
Well, then I'll vote aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Broccoli? Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Last amended on September 1st, 2022 by local law number 5 of 2022 is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 23715, sewer rents, sewer meters. B, for sewer supplied by the Village of Fredonia from and after September 2nd, 2025, and for each quarterly period thereafter, the following rates are hereby fixed and shall be collected on all water metered service within the Village of Fredonia. A minimum charge of $30 per quarter and a rate of $8 per 1,000-gallon consumption. Note, new rates to the town of Pomfret and town of Dunkirk water districts or other outside village water customers shall be increased accordingly as provided by the contracts with the Village of Fredonia and such outside water customers. Section 2, local law shall take effect immediately upon filing of the Secretary of State of the State of New York as required by law. I accidentally took away the sign-up sheet, but I know, Mr. Twitchell, you want to speak on the sewer.
This is so bound up with the PPD contract that I can't refrain from. To me, it all seems like one stinky sewer mess. And it started when the county proposed the contract for the PPD, which was that they were going to pay half the rate that we pay. Now, we've increased our sewer rates, but the rate that we pay is still twice what you folks are proposing that the county pay. Now, I've been trying to pay attention to why that is, and it seems like a gallon of water is different if you're from the county or you're from the village. Apparently, the county's gallon of water is cleaner than the village of water. The county's gallon of water doesn't have as much sewage in it, so they shouldn't have to pay as much as we do in the village. We're giving them a 50% discount. Well, a gallon is still a gallon. Now, they say that they shouldn't have to pay because they have inflow. Well, we have inflow too. I don't know of any septic sewer system in a village in Western New York that doesn't have inflow. We're paying for that. We're paying by the thousand, we're paying a rate per 1,000 gallons, but it's our plant. We pay for every gallon of water that goes through that plant. And yet, we're allowing the county to pay only half of that. So it just doesn't make sense to me, and this sewer rate increase is just beyond anybody's ability to justify. So with that, I guess I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Being that we don't have a sign-up sheet, is there anybody else that would like to speak on the sewer rate? If you do, please walk up and say your name. If there's no one else to speak on the sewer rate, ma'am, did you want to speak on the sewer rate at all?
It's on the battery.
Okay, in just a little bit. If there's no one else at this time, is there anyone else to speak on the sewer rate? Is there anyone else to speak on the sewer rate? Is there anyone else to speak on the sewer rate? If not, I ask for a motion to adjourn public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
In fairness, to give everybody time to get here for the for the battery storage system public hearing, which was scheduled at 5:30, I'm going to ask that we take a break so that we can allow people to arrive on time. Fredonia for this public hearing. 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, September 2nd, 2025 at 5:31. This being the time and place for the public hearing on the local law number 6 of 2025 entitled Local Law Battery Energy Storage System. Proof of publication is shown. I call this hearing to order. I was going to read it, but none of you would be awake by the time it came time for public comment. So hopefully you had a chance to read it. If not, we have this on our website and we have copies here for you. But is there anyone that would like to speak on that today? Ladies first, Mark. Go ladies first. Come on up. If you just please state your name. Yes, please.
Bear with me, I had eye surgery, so I hope I think I can read this.
That's
good.
okay. Take your time.
Yeah. All right, my name is Joni Riggle. I live in Sinclairville, but I grew up in Fredonia, so this place holds a very dear, special place in my heart. Please do not, can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. Please do not unwittingly play Russian roulette by allowing utility or commercial scale BESS projects within your borders. All the safety planning in the world and adopting New York State BESS Fire Code protocol cannot prevent lithium-ion BESS fires with thermal runaway. Neither LFP nor lithium-ion NMC batteries, today's current technology, are at sufficiently mature and reliably safe levels of development to be used in BESS installations. Utility commercial scale BESS projects should never be placed in residential communities, period. Every BESS developer is promised stringent safety measures and denied risk to communities, yet we see dangerous fires continue to happen. Lithium-ion BESS fires cannot be extinguished with water or chemical flame retardants. They must burn themselves out, meanwhile ejecting dangerous toxins like hydrogen fluoride and toxic heavy metals into the air with episodes of spontaneous reigniting. Please consider a one-year moratorium on co-located BESS projects, allowing time to revisit and draft a more protective BESS law and keep the speculators, they're hitting hard, at bay. Your present law with 60, for an example, I was just glancing through the law, I didn't even know you had drafted it yet, but your present law allows 60 decibels of a noise limit at non-participating residents. And I can tell you, living in the midst of a solar project, oh my gosh, I've made so many complaints. We have a 45 decibel limit, and you can't sleep at night. I mean, it's just unreal. And the WHO says sleep deprivation, if you have your bedroom noises over 30 decibels, you suffer sleep deprivation and cardiovascular negative effects. But 60 decibels would be a grave injustice to residents, garnering many complaints. New York State ORS, who's very liberal with their limits, have a 45 decibel wind solar limit for noise, and substation 40 dBA, even lower because of the buzzing noise, and that's what you get from these substations, a tonal buzzing noise that's extremely irritating to people. Please outright ban standalone BESS. Standalone BESS falls under seeker, and fortunately, as lead agency under seeker, you people can ban these standalone projects. So far, that has not changed. And I would say really do that because they're usually the more impactful projects. They're larger in scale. Let's see. Of note, Equinor-owned East Point Energy has officially withdrawn plans to construct a 116-megawatt standalone BESS in New York State after the town of Carmel banned utility-scale BESS facilities. It is advisable for a town to have separate and distinct regulations for standalone versus co-located with renewable energy projects, since their scale, purpose, and potential impacts can differ significantly. March 2024, Vistra commissioned a scientific report on the likelihood of a catastrophic event at their California Moss Landing BESS installation. The report concluded the proposed BESS project poses no significant risk to the health or safety of the community during a maximum credible event under the worst-case conditions. Lo and behold, on January 16, 2025, the project exploded and went up in flames, the worst U.S. BESS fire to date. It burned on and off for a month. Miles of farmland and wetlands were contaminated with heavy metals, and people suffered respiratory distress. Just this last weekend in California, 2-year-old Parkland BESS facility, which was co-located with a solar project, had a fire requiring evacuation. They were using the exact same BESS Tesla battery pack that they planned to sneak into Hanover with that huge utility BESS project. And I was at that meeting, that public hearing, and the developer's like, oh, these never catch on fire, they're totally safe, we've got it nailed down to a science. You can't believe it. Where was I? Okay. NERC, North America Electric Reliability Corporation, recently warned, I quote, batteries will not do it. They are not able to back up intermittent wind and solar. We need to invest in infrastructure for natural gas to back up renewables. New York State's 20-megawatt BESS project in Chateauguay, New York, cost over $30 million for a pathetic 1 hour of storage duration. Current BESS have only 2 to 4 hours of storage duration. And did you know these projects, battery storage, wind and solar, they've got to be shut down during a power outage. So many people think, oh, we've got these projects, they'll keep powering the grid. No, they have to be shut down because the workers will get electrocuted if they keep them online. So if they're grid connected, they're no use for a power shortage. Let's see. The lifespan of these projects is only 5 to 10 years. It makes no sense to put the community at risk for these grossly inefficient, costly, tech-challenged projects. I would just say if you could just ban and have a prolonged moratorium until the technology becomes safer and reliable. We're throwing our money away and putting our communities at risk until then. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mark Twitchell.
I would like to thank the board for referring this very contentious issue to the planning board. All too often, this board has not referred issues to the planning board, issues that are huge, that have a tremendous impact on this village, and we have a very well-qualified planning board that doesn't get to say diddly about it. So that's the good news. The bad news is that we're going to get money. We're going to get money by putting people at risk. Now, I really don't believe for a minute that Kathy Hochul's green agenda is what's driving this. I just really don't believe that in Western New York, we're going to put a community at risk because somebody in Albany believes that this is the right thing to do. It's about the money. And on the one hand, we're unwilling to charge an outside entity the proper rate for their sewage, but on the other hand, we're going to get some money for putting the community at risk. Now that doesn't quite add up to me, and the problem with the batteries, like Joni said, is that they burn, and there's no safe distance for these. The Moss Landing evacuation zone was measured in miles. This past weekend's Parkland fire was a 2-mile evacuation zone. Now we're talking about putting one of these things on Clinton Avenue, if I'm not mistaken. There's a developer who wants to put it there, right behind the hospital, right in front of the high school. You couldn't not imagine a worse place for one of these things to be. But aside from that, 2 miles incorporates most of the village. So, and for what? I just don't think that the money that the village is going to get for doing this can be justified. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this topic? Anyone else would like to speak on this topic, battery storage system? Okay, we'll start the process. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this topic? You have to say it 3 times, by the way. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this topic? Anyone else would like to speak on this topic? If not, I would ask for a motion to adjourn the open public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break and begin our regular meeting at 6 p.m. Thank you very much for attending, and thank you for your participation. Appreciate it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia regular meeting on 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, 14063, for this September 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. I call this meeting to order, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we sit, as many of you know, tonight's kind of a sad night to be holding a meeting. And we had the passing of a very near and dear friend to us, and who began working in the police department, giving service back to the community, and since 2018 was the official village clerk of the Village of Fredonia. This afternoon, many of us in this room attended her funeral, and tomorrow she will be buried. I ask for a moment of silence from our friend, from a mother, from a wife, and from a woman who gave service to this community for many years, Anne Marie Johnson. Thank you. Roll call, Trustee Esperson.
Here.
Trustee Brockler. Here. Trustee Syracuse.
Here.
Trustee Wendell.
Here.
Trustee Twitchell.
Here.
If you just give me a second. The approval of minutes.
Whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of August 18th, 2025, and be it resolved that the board hereby approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
Trustee Esperson. Aye. Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand at the microphone, state their name. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes of speaking for themselves, 5 minutes of speaking on behalf of the legitimate group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, and not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. Our first speaker is James Linden.
Good evening. I'm speaking on consideration of the choice for water source. This village has spent an awful lot of money on studies so they could understand this board, members of this board could understand what the comparisons are and what's involved with the choice of water sourcing, whether it be keeping a reservoir or buying it through North County Water District. Now, It doesn't take a genius to understand cost comparisons. Now, our village, according to the report, from the end of the year report from our village treasurer, based on these actual numbers, the village bills only per day, well, that's to do it per year, 278,592,000 gallons per year. And which is far less. If you break it down per day, it's 763,265 gallons per day, which is far less than what the county says that we produce in a day, which they claim somewhere between 1.2 and 1.4 million per day. And that calculates to that total that I gave you for a year. So based on our cost figures, even if you were to say this year that we were going to have expenditures of $2.1 million, over the 30-year expectancy cost projections, that's about $63 million. To buy water and close the reservoir from the north by the water through the North County Water District, the cost would be about $5 million a year or more, because of and that's largely due to the loss of water, the unbilled amount. But there's also the new debt service and other costs that come into play. That 30-year cost, $150 million plus, compared to $63 million for keeping our own reservoir. Now, if you were to try to do anything you wanted to that reservoir, or plant, or anything else, it would never come to $150 million. Where is your common sense? It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. I suggest that you move very quickly and put booster pumps on the Route 20 connections, seeing how the county is not holding up to their part of the contract and operations. They are not operating in good faith. Once you make those connections operational, to go after the county to reimburse you for the costs.
Thank you, Jim. Andrew Ludwig.
Earlier, I mentioned the word trust with government. And I'm going to speak to that again, but I'm also going to include the county. And in just 8 days, this board is going to vote on a decision of what to do with Fredonia's water situation. And I don't think there's anybody in the village that doesn't know how that vote's going to go. And I don't think anything that I'm going to say here tonight, or anything that's going to be said between now and September 10th, is going to change anybody's minds. But we only got a couple more opportunities to speak, so I'm going to take that opportunity tonight and maybe again on the 10th. Not that the Observer has done some great job in covering this issue, but there were a couple things that appeared in the Observer recently that I'd like to speak to tonight. And the first one was the article that described the county's letter that lectured the village about Fredonia water. And again, I'm referring to the Observer article, so just from what I read. But the article said the county gave a myriad of reasons why the interconnects, 2 of the 3 interconnects that were built couldn't be used in a boil water order, and actually 2 of the 3 aren't being used at all currently. So they gave all these reasons why we couldn't use those interconnects in a water emergency. But what they didn't say was, how much did the interconnects cost? Who paid for them? Who's responsible for them not being in operation? And why has nothing been done to put them in operation? So they've been sitting there for 5 years inoperable. Well, what a great way to influence Fredonia's water decision by not letting us use that water in a water emergency. So how are we supposed to trust the county in this issue when it sure seems that the county's doing everything that they can to get us to buy water from the North County Water District, including denying us water using those interconnects? Trustee Wandel, maybe you could look into that as you do your investigation on the water treatment plant. Maybe somebody here could look into that. It's a little late in the game, but hopefully maybe soon. The other article in the Observer was the op-ed by Mr. Drayle and the Observer's response. And this board seems ready to move ahead with a water decision before contractual details have been hammered out, negotiated, and worked through. Mr. Drayle pointed out a number of those in his article, and then the Observer followed up on those. You know, how are we supposed to trust this board with this decision when they haven't explained why they're going with the more expensive water option, as Mr. Linden just referred to? They haven't addressed the intelligent concerns that have been brought up by a number of people here. They haven't addressed all of the contractual issues that Mr. Drayle brought up. So what I would like to see, because we all know you're going to vote to decommission the water treatment plant and reservoir on the 10th, before you do that, could you at least please tell us why? Could you at least have an intelligent dialogue, answer some questions, give us some explanations, give us a reason to trust your decision, because that's all we've ever asked for.
Thank you. Mark Twitchell.
Well, it seems there's another agenda tonight here, folks. The agenda I have in my hand does not include a walk-on that is going to appropriate money to some development company to look at some kind of water solution. But it doesn't say, this walk-on resolution doesn't say what this company is going to do. In other words, there's no whereases, there's no explanation. Now, the company allegedly could look at, you know, saving the reservoir and restoring the treatment plant, or they could do what this board wants to do, which is, you know, the opposite of that. But it just doesn't make any sense to have a resolution with no whereases. You're not explaining why you're going to give money to this company. And that it just follows along with what this board operates in terms of, you know, not being transparent with the public about our money and our resources. The other thing that's not on this agenda is the vote for the PPD contract, which I've already spoken to. Now, I guess what it boils down to is that it took me a while to figure this out. It's a negotiating stance. We're giving them half rate on our sewage so that when we buy water from the county, we can get half the rate that they're charging the other people. And I think that's very brilliant. Thank you.
Dede Sedota.
I would like to ask for 5 minutes as an SOR member. I'll also say, and I'll just, a little aside as a teacher, I think your 3-minute rule is the most asinine thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, come on. I mean, I have high school kids. I have more respect for them than you do for the public when you're cutting us off to 3 minutes. And I'm saying that honestly, you know, and I respect you. But, you know, but anyway, I'm probably losing my time right now.
I didn't write the law, by the way. So.
It's not the law. It's something that you have, you know, again, if that's the law, somebody needs to change it. I'm just speaking as an educator who thinks that that's nonsense, okay? But let me get to the point here. This is hard for me, okay? As you know, Jim Sedota, who had more than 40 years in municipal finance, passed away very suddenly. On the table were piles and piles of numbers and plans. He was going to be here tonight, and he was going to speak, okay? But I'm here instead. And this is hard for me, okay? This is very difficult for me because he talked about this a lot because he was passionate about it, all right? He understands finances, and he spent hours. I have a copy of the Labella report. How many of you went through and marked it up and compared costs? All right, and he basically said he talked to Mr. Wandel. He talked to Mr. Esperson a while ago. He said, they don't get it, they don't understand. And that's okay because I don't either, okay? Those numbers to me are like gibberish. I'm sure that Alyssa understands them a lot better, okay? But in his analysis, he made contacts. He contacted people, you know, in the comptroller's office. He went way back. He knew the connections, the pipes. He knew the weaknesses in the system. He knew what needs to be done to make this a better system. And he's passionate about saving that reservoir. And obviously that letter from the, you know, from the county verifies there are problems with water pressure, okay? There was a fire in Dunkirk, you know, when my son was working in the Graff building, and they couldn't get enough water pressure from the lake, and they were a few yards from it. Okay, so the idea of getting rid of that reservoir is environmentally nuts. But you know what? I'm not even going to go there because I don't think you want to hear that. But the finances. He said it's a bombshell, and he never used the word bombshell. But he said if you buy water, okay, if you join the North County Water District, you are going to be fleecing the village millions of dollars, not just a few thousand. And he has it all, and I would be happy to share it with you. I have a pile like this. And if anyone would like to see it, I would be happy to share it. I'm not sure you'd understand it, and I don't say that to insult you. I say that to wake you up, okay? Because it's like you're just moving ahead. People are so confused. And I'm terrified. The thought, I live in the upper elevation, okay? I have visions of turning on my faucet and nothing comes out, okay? And oh no, that's fine. But in those finances, okay, a business paying $10,000 a year now for water is going to be paying $40,000 within 10 years. And do you know that? Have you gone through that? As again, I can show you how in the Labella report, first of all, you start with Labella, and then the county gets another report, they do the same thing. It's the same engineering firm. Where's the second opinion? As a teacher, my students don't just turn in one source. You need more than one. I mean, that company has a whole lot to gain from this. We're going to shut down the reservoir. And what are you going to do with that water? And that reservoir decommissioning is not in the Labella report in any kind of sensible way. So we end up with a reservoir that we're not using with how much water? Where's it going? You know, it's not going to be filling your bathtubs. Where is it going? Okay. Mr. Esperson, you live down on Forest Place, right? How would you like to have that water coming down in your backyard? You know? So, you know, I just think this is a huge deal. And I feel that as a citizen, I've been coming to these meetings, and I've been listening, and I've been watching. And it breaks my heart that Jim can't be here tonight because he knows what the hell he's talking about. And some of you have been on this board for less than 2 years, and you're trying to tell us, you know, that we need to get rid of something that sustained us for hundreds of, you know, at least 200 years. Okay, so, you know, I think that we all think we know what you're going to do next, the 10th. I hope we're wrong. I hope you ask the questions, and I would be happy to share Jim's information with anyone who cares enough to look at it, if you understand it. He does mention some of you in the report, and some of your numbers that you've given out that are not correct. And again, I don't say that to insult you, okay? No one in this room has 40 years of municipal accounting, and he knows what he knew what he was talking about, and I think he's probably happy that I'm here tonight, okay? But I'm not happy that it's me and not him, okay? And I also give my condolences because we've had a lot of losses in this village. But we need to work together and not be fighting and bickering. And again, we have a water source that's valuable. And, you know, Mr. Ludwig has been coming here month after month, and the rest of us, and it's like nobody's hearing us. And if you are hearing us, let us know that you're hearing us because there's no dialogue. And I say that as a teacher. Hey, I got it in. Okay.
Got it in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sam Drayo.
Thank you, Mayor. I have concerns about the renewal of the Pomfret-Portland-Dunkirk Sewer District Agreement that's now before the board. The proposed agreement grants to the sewer district a rate 50% less than village residents for the first 35 million gallons received by the wastewater treatment plant. This discounted rate was also in the 2019 sewer agreement. Outside users of water and sewer have never been allowed in this village to pay less than village residents. It's simply unfair to our village residents to subsidize the district by giving a 50% discount on the cost of sewer services. To sell sewer services at less than sold to village residents is an affront to the village residents, especially in time where the village needs additional income to help reduce taxes. Has the board calculated how much money the village is losing by reducing the village rate to outside users by 50%? I don't know of any village, any authority that would permit or allow, which is basically a gift of village services by discounting the rate to outside users. The village has always sold water and sewer services at a reasonably higher rate to outside users. To my knowledge, no one's ever complained, and it's common for municipalities to do that. The outside users are happy to receive the service. Some mention has been made of village sewer transmission mains increasing the rate to the district, and that the district has its own transmission lines. However, if you read the contract, it shows that the village transmission lines were not included in calculating the village rate. The original PPD sewer district signed in 1981. That was signed in 1981. In that contract, the rate charge to the district was by a formula that resulted basically in the same rate to the district as charged to village residents. That rate stayed in effect for over 20 years. The Board of Trustees needs to be fair to village residents. The 1981 formula that lasted for 20 years should be reinstated. Even if the village wanted to add a reasonable premium to outside users, there'd be nothing wrong in that. From my experience, it's not uncommon for municipalities to do that. In my experience with the water districts and sewer districts in the village, there's always been a premium. The resolution before the board should be tabled for further study for revisions that are fair to our village residents, and at the very minimum, permit the village to charge the same rate to the district for sewer services as charged to village residents. It's the only fair and right thing to do. Do I have a couple seconds left, Mayor?
Got 58 seconds left.
Okay.
Started you a minute late, so we gave him back.
Okay. This goes back to the North County Water District. They have a $2.5 million debt that they have to pay back to the county. If we join the district, the largest payer of that debt, because we'd be the largest consumers of water, will be the Village of Fredonia. Yet we receive no benefits from those lines that go to Sheridan, Portland, and so forth. There may be some that might serve the village, but most of that debt, if we join the sewer district, the North County Water District, will be paid by village taxpayers, yet they receive no benefits. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's actually 5.4 million. 5.4 million, not 3.4. It's a lot more.
Okay, we're closing this portion of the public portion. Oh, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Kathy Furness, thank you for providing the time for me to speak, but I would feel a whole lot better if I felt like somebody was listening. It's my understanding that if Fredonia joins the North Chautauqua County water system, the rate will go from approximately $8 per 1,000 to $28 per 1,000. So we're talking about a 400% increase. Now, I live alone. My last bill went up $100. I don't flush my toilet every time I use the bathroom. I take a 5-minute shower. I do everything to try and save not just money, but ecologically, I try and save water. My bills are probably going to go up to about $800 per quarter. That's a lot of money. That's a big increase. Do you think the village residents know that their bills are going to go up that high? And then you're going to see a full room when those bills come out. You haven't been forthcoming about all the costs for pumps, generators, additives, any other miscellaneous costs. What will the total out-of-pocket costs be? What are the total expenses? I feel the board owes the village residents this information. I know you've all made up your mind. It's a moot point to even spend my time here. Why are you building up the water fund if you're not planning on doing any fixing of our current system? Again, that was addressed earlier, most likely, so you can fund your bond or whatever you need to do. I understand you expect to get some grants to cover some of the cost, but grants don't cover everything. And the ridiculous thing is, we're paying the guys who stand to benefit the most to get these grants. Why don't you get somebody who can write some grants? Over the years, I've had friends who live along the lake. I've been swimming in Hanford Bay after we had a big storm. And the Dunkirk, we called it the poop factory because my brother-in-law worked there. And he said, yeah, we just let the raw sewage out. And literally, we were swimming in the lake and poop floated by. Not one, not two, a lot. Like, get out now. I don't want to drink that water. I don't want to drink lake water. I also lived in Dunkirk, and about July and August, the water stunk of chlorine. Just chlorine, and that's what's going to happen. Because that's what you have to do to kill this algae. And as our system gets hotter and hotter every summer, more and more algae grows in the lake, and eventually there's going to be one that's not going to be killed by chlorine. I wish you'd reconsider.
Thank you.
Also, don't get parking apps. That's just dumb.
Thank you. This closes the portion of the public portion of the meeting. Correspondence.
Correspondence dated August 23rd, 2025 was received from Jack Ippolito resigning his laborer position with the street department.
Be resolved, the resignation of Jack Ippolito as a full-time laborer with the Village of Fredonia is hereby effective immediately.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Correspondence dated August 22nd, 2025 was received from Caitlin Dimmer, providing a 30-day advance notice to serve liquor, wine, beer, and cider in a tavern establishment located at 24 Water Street under the applicant's name of Bubs of Fredonia, New York, Inc., trade name The Old Main.
Be it resolved that the 30-day advance notice to serve liquor, wine, beer, cider in a tavern establishment located at 24 Water Street under the name of Bubs of Fredonia, New York City, Inc. is approved.
Before we second that, my question is, Old Main's been open for years. Have they changed hands at some point?
Yeah.
So they have. Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor's report. We have a couple of things. Today is the first day of the new school season, by the way. We ask that you be careful as you drive, not only for the buses, but students crossing the street. Again, I will talk about this ad nauseum. Whether they're walking on the side of the road, please have patience for the school buses as well. When someone is standing at a crosswalk, it is the law everywhere in the United States that you must stop and allow the person or persons to cross safely. This is the law. Local police officials are on the lookout for violators, and you will be ticketed. Once again, if someone's waiting to cross, they don't have to step into the street. You must stop. Hence the new bump outs that are coming as well to enhance that. On the 19th, we had a consolidation meeting, our second with the town of Pomfret, to discuss what are we doing to generate money and save money. On the 19th, I also met with Mr. Croxton. We're formulating our first Citizens Advisory Board. On the 20th, we attended ribbon cutting for the new Raven and Thorn restaurant on Water Street. Another great job by new investors, a great presentation by the CHQ Chautauqua Chamber. On 21st, Trustee Esperson and I participated in the annual CHQ Chamber Golf Tournament at the Peak to benefit charities. And on the 22nd, we met with North County Water District and Pomfret officials to discuss additional details on the possible addition of the Village of Fredonia to the North County Water District. On the 23rd, ribbon cutting ceremony was held for the new Superior Wines and Spirits on Route 20 in the former Value Home Center. On the 21st, participate in the Fredonia Farm Festival Parade. We want to thank the organizers again for a wonderful farm festival, and Mariah Kravitz for organizing another great parade, over 60 different participants during the parade. 27th, met with department heads for our bi-monthly department head meeting, and I asked Alyssa to introduce the outlines and guidelines for my request on a 5-year vision plan from our department heads. Plan will also be distributed to our trustees later this week. Reason for the vision plan is one of the reasons why I ran for mayor. I felt that in many cases we were running agenda to agenda, and there was no plan for where we want to be in the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And frankly, I feel in some cases, just on the base of business alone, if you don't have a target, you have no direction to get there. So I'm asking both our board and our department heads, who have already started on theirs, we're going to have a second meeting to discuss that as well, to look at that and what they feel the direction. We have a comprehensive plan that was done by some very good people who put time and energy into that comprehensive plan. You utilize that to develop your 5-year plan, and we'll keep you updated on that. And that's my report for this week.
Excuse me, I would like to know, are we entitled to any information when you met with the North County Water District and Dan Vegas, Town of Conference Supervisor?
Sooner there's any kind of final decisions, or is we have more information to give you, yes.
So you just sat there, you didn't talk, there's no report that we could have meetings and read about what progress you made?
All kinds of, we're talking about DPWs, we're talking about sharing equipment, we're talking about sharing services, we're talking about sharing possible fire and, not fire, code enforcement. Right. No, that one is, last meeting was not about water. Last meeting was about consolidation of services.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Trustee committee reports. Trustee Broccoli.
Just a couple of things. One, I'd just like to say it was a very nice farm festival again this year, and I'm very pleased with how that went. As far as the PPD, the 50% rate was set 7 years ago and signed into law by Mayor Landis. I've seen the contract. That's when it was set in 2019, so I don't see that we're making any drastic changes to that. And as far as the battery electric storage law, what we're doing there is setting a framework to allow us to regulate battery electric storage. Any system that comes to Fredonia would be subject to public hearings and discussion and an up or down vote as well. This is not setting a immediate project in motion of any sort. And that's all I have.
Okay, I want to go back for just a second and correct myself. I did say on one of those meetings we were discussing water. What that was about was basically whether there's still a lot of little fine touches here and there as far as what they would be responsible for, what we would be responsible for, if we were sharing a tank, if we were not sharing a tank. Some of that's already in the plan, but what would be the cost involved in that? So that was a constant discussion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who do you meet with if you want to stick with this reservoir? Who do you meet with? Nobody.
You're looking at the people here. Well, I will say, the last part of my, and it's not my time to say it, but I'm going to say something. And that is, we had people come into this room in the last month alone. I represent the people. I'm going to find out with the people what you're doing with our budget, with our money, which, by the way, taxpayer, 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 taxpayer. Okay? Gave them my personal phone number, both my personal phone, mayor phone. Mr. Esperson gave them phone. We have not received a single phone call to meet with any of those people. So we give people the opportunity to come and speak to us, and it goes, I won't see them again until next week, and they'll show up next week and speak again. The point is, we handed them our cards. We said, call us. We'd be happy to go through it with you, and nothing went any further from that point, and it's been 2 weeks.
Thank you for that. I do want to recognize that there's so many people people that are opposing to go to Dunkirk Water and North County Water District.
Thank you.
But I don't see too many people standing at the podium saying, go get them, you know, go, let's go to the lake and with the
Okay.
reservation.
Well, thank you.
the
That's public
reservoir.
enforcement.
You know,
Appreciate it.
There's more people going against you, and nobody here for you from the public.
Trustee Esperson.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that were said tonight that are just mind-boggling. A boil water order is not an emergency. We can't use the interconnects during a boil water order. An emergency is when we have no water. That's when they would be used. So even if those were connected, and if we could get water from the water district, we could not use it for a boil water order. That's,
And what's the reason for that? You want to have a dialogue? You know,
Ask the
have me
county.
Call you and you can tell me things over the phone and then deny them, say it on the record, in public. Go ahead.
the county.
Why was so the county made those interconnects?
This is not the time
Hey,
for
folks, that's not
dialogue.
the
You've had
time
your
to talk.
time, allow him to have his time. Thank you.
The county.
He wants to engage me. He's going to tell me.
No, you
You
were
know
trying to
what?
engage him.
You want to engage me
No,
after the meeting?
he's looking at me, he's pointing at me, he's talking to me, he's telling me about why the county won't let us use the interconnects.
Because it's
So
not
let's say
an
I'm
emergency.
trying to engage him.
Excuse me.
He can't listen to me without responding and then saying, well, you can't say anything because this isn't back and forth. But you want me to call you on the phone so you can tell me things, you know.
Okay, why don't you hear his response?
Go ahead.
And you got it. Here you go.
All I said was, the Department of Health declares an emergency, the village doesn't,
Yeah,
right? It's not an emergency if there's a boil water order.
according to the Department of Health.
Who declares an emergency? We can't do it. That's not,
That's not what she said. She said that it's up to the village to declare.
no, she didn't.
Yeah, she did.
It's up to them to declare. We can declare an emergency for any reason we want to.
We were under an emergency for months. We were under a water emergency for months, and we didn't even have a boil water.
Not because of boil water. There was also a statement that we're not using, there are no projects that we're working on when we talked about raising water rates. It's $150,000 or so we're spending on a new chlorination system. The divers were in the reservoir, and there are fixes that Lewis and LaBelle are looking at for the issues that they found inside the reservoir. So that money is being spent to do projects. As far as the wastewater treatment plant is concerned, they need new screw pumps. We're waiting for the engine. We got a grant for an engineer's report to tell us what the major fixes are going to need to be there. So there are projects going on there.
But your fund balance is well over 20%.
Okay, Jim, you know the rules.
I spoke with Bradford Lumber regarding, they're looking at a 58-acre parcel at the reservoir to perhaps log. They're looking to gain access. That area is 850 yards away from the reservoir, which is more than half a mile. So they're not looking at any trees anywhere near the water. And that's all I've got.
Trustee Syracuse.
We attended the Fredonia's Farm Festival. It was great. The parade, there was a lot of good performances and floats through. I heard a ton of positive feedback throughout the entire festival. I was down here both Saturday and Sunday. It was a really good time. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Trustee Twitchell.
Yes, I do have something to say about every time you meet with North County Water District and the Department of Health, the mayor, and I would imagine it would be Trustee Esperson
And the water department.
and the Water Department. When do I ever receive a report on that? I've never heard you mention anything of the August 22nd meeting. This is something that I am not happy with because all of a sudden we have walk-ons that were not discussed in the workshop. The information seems to be hidden.
That walk-on was received in an email this afternoon.
Okay, but still, this whole game that you play about meeting with Town of Pomfret, about sharing services, I never hear a report on that. I'm a trustee. Shouldn't that be required to share that information with me? I mean, I just want the public to know that I don't know everything that goes on here behind closed doors.
Well, I asked, let me speak one more time. I put out an offer January 3rd as mayor so that I can meet, and you know what we're doing, I know what you're doing, to meet once a week for 1 hour. And 2 of you, including you, turned it down. So I've
I
had
come
1
to your
week.
office and I hear you speak about other things. You hardly ever inform me
Shall I
about
see you
what's
in my
going
office
on.
once or twice a month tops? I asked for 1
And
hour a week.
you never
1
tell
hour
me
a week,
anything
and you didn't
about
take
what's
it.
going on, so we can argue about that.
Yeah, we can.
If you want to argue about that, I will. A workshop is supposed to be shared with the trustees, not just one-on-one. Everybody should know, be on the same page about what's going on here in this village government. And I'm letting everyone know that information is not privy to me sometimes.
I don't see
Trustee
your
Wendell, are you
reports.
on the water committee?
Yes,
Have you been at these meetings?
yes.
And you're on the committee, you're the committee person?
Yes.
For water, thank you.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we can talk about these things, that's why there's workshops. There's workshops so we can discuss what's going on. All of a sudden, we're having this public hearing on September 10th. I know nothing about it. Where's the resolution for that meeting? Where is it?
Where's the proof of a memo that she received of it?
And that's all I have to say
Now,
tonight.
communication is
Okay.
key.
Trustee Wendell, you got a report tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. You are correct, ma'am. Communication is key. In my hands, Trustee Wandell Committee Report titled August 18th, 2025. You see that? I've got 2 pages here. Last board meeting, I read through my communication report in the Water Committee. In addition, I submitted it to the Observer, local paper, at which point, about a week and a half ago, the editor of the paper published my communications of the Water Committee. So I am not trying to hide anything. In fact, the opposite. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. In addition to that, I communicated it with every member of the board via email, okay? So I just want to make that clear. My committee report, August 21st, I met with Louis Fred, supervisor at the water treatment plant. It was a very productive meeting. We reviewed more of the plant's operational procedures. SOP reviews are ongoing, and electrical audit of the load devices are completed. August 22nd, Water Committee Zoom meeting with Labella. Legal, Pomfret, Supervision, Chautauqua County Department of Health were among some of the attendees. What did we discuss? We discussed the Alternative 2 project, some of the things that would need to be considered. Among them are the details for a grant, intermunicipal grant for Phase 1 of the project. And secondly, sharing a water tower with the town of Pomfret. So both the mayor and Trustee Esperson have alluded to this as well. And finally, on August 27th, Trustee Esperson and I met with resident Bob Scott, who's here tonight, to discuss viable water project options for the village. He shared his thoughts and concerns. We listened. Okay, that's it, Mayor.
Thank you.
If I could, I think Paul's reports are great, and I feel like you go into great detail about the water committee and the work that you're doing, and so I always feel like I have a general overarching idea of what's happening, the direction we're going, what your committee is working on. I think the purpose of a committee is to be doing the nuts and bolts of whatever committee it is and whatever work it's doing, and present the overarching concept and direction to the board. And then if we need to get into the nuts and bolts of it in a workshop, we do that. I think that's been happening perfectly from your perspective, so thank you.
I disagree because everything is not shared. All these meetings that go on, when they call the attorneys, I know nothing about it until I go through and approve a bill. Oh, Trustee Esperson spoke to the attorneys. Was that ever shared? No. That's what I'm talking about.
I didn't know about every single meeting that you had with Rex
That's right.
Department.
You don't know. So don't
Okay, treasurer's
criticize.
report for tonight.
You didn't hear what I said, but okay. July 2025, revenue for the general fund, $59,280.22, expenses $499,300.85, for a net income for July of negative $440,020.63. For a year, total for June and July revenue is $6,690,193. Expenses, $7,009,422, for a net income of $5,052,476, leaving the fund balance at the end of July at $794,854. Water fund for July only, revenue $219,332, expenses $239,812, for a net income of negative $20,480. For June and July totals, $343,609 for revenue, expenses $352,083, leaving net income at negative $8,474. Fund balance of $856,223.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
For the sewer fund, July only, revenue $151,502, expenses $169,525, for a net income of negative $18,024. Year of June and July, revenue $254,005, expenses $273,893, for a net income of negative $19,888, leaving the fund balance at $658,386. I also wanted to mention that I received word that we did not receive the government efficiency grant that we applied for previously, and I spoke to the Department of State today, and they suggested that we reapply because the application was very good, but we need to
Detail.
we need to be specific about which direction we want to go. So instead of just combining departments, we want to, instead of sharing services, we want to combine services.
And that was the one we, in conjunction with the city of Dunkirk, they
Yes.
were
Right.
co-authors of that, right?
That was the one we applied for earlier, or late last year.
Yep.
Okay.
And that was for police and fire? Yes.
Yeah.
Since then, we've also talked to Fire District, which everybody was invited to, about creating a fire district. And I believe it was 8 to 10 fire departments that were at that meeting. We've asked so that we can determine if there's any benefit for that. We've asked for the various departments' budgets so we can determine exactly what the costs may be to the various communities. And we are still waiting on some of those communities to either participate or send in their budgets. Fredonia Police Department report for the month of July. It was a busy July for police. Total incidents reported 868 reports. Fredonia Central Schools called for service 0. Accidents 17. Arrest reports 29. Traffic and vehicle incidents 92. 13 domestic incidents and 16 parking tickets submitted by Chief David Price. Fredonia Fire Department, for July 2025, Fire Department responded to 271 calls for service during the month of July 2025. Of the above 271 calls during this reporting month, emergency medical response contributed to 117 of them. Cost recovery for the month of July is as follows. $34,084.04 received through EMS billing, $6,467.73 assigned to our collections agency for EMS building. Throughout the month of July, the department conducted 237 man-hours of training, standby, shift training, volunteer meetings. See non-incident event history that is attached. Department hosted numerous Fredonia summer camps to visits to our facility. We were focused on sharing the fire department life along with fire prevention to the wide range of camp goers, respectfully submitted on August 27, 2025 by Joshua T. Myers, Chief of Department, Fredonia Fire Department. That's all I have. Resolutions.
Whereas proposed local law number 6 of 2025, which regulates the installation and use of battery energy storage systems within the Village of Fredonia, was presented to the Board of Trustees to consider for adoption. And whereas a public hearing on proposed local law number 6 of 2025 was held on September 2nd, 2025 in accordance with the notice of hearing duly posted and published in the manner prescribed by law, and all parties in attendance were permitted an opportunity to speak in support of or in opposition to said proposed local law or any part thereof. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, after due deliberation, finds it in the best interest of the village to adopt said local law, now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Fredonia hereby adopts said local law as local law number 6 of 2025, entitled Village of Fredonia Battery Storage Systems, a copy of which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, and be it further resolved, the Village of Fredonia clerk is hereby directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting in the local law book of the Village of Fredonia, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State by filing the same with Secretary of State as required by law.
Second.
I'm not going to vote second on this because I'm going to vote against it. So if somebody else would like to vote second.
I'll second it.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
I'd just like to, before I cast my vote, I just want to say that, just to summarize this, it's a battery storage law, but what that means is it's a set of guidelines and regulations for the installation and building of a battery storage facility. So we, as a village board, are not endorsing a battery storage facility within the confines of the village. This is just an acceptance of what the planning board had done to research this out and what would be required. So I vote aye.
And Trustee Twitcher, you already voted?
Yes, I appreciate the planning board going through this law, but I did speak to them about the fire situation with the bus batteries, and I still think that's something that we should be against, so I'm voting nay.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Okay. Next resolution.
Whereas proposed local law number 7 of 2025, which regulates the water rates for the Village of Fredonia, was presented to the Board of Trustees to consider for adoption, and whereas the public hearing on proposed local law number 7 of 2025 was held on September 2nd, 2025, in accordance with the notice of hearing duly posted and published in the manner prescribed by law, and all parties in attendance were permitted an opportunity to speak in support of or in opposition to said proposed local law or any part thereof. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, after due deliberation, finds it in the best interest of the village to adopt said local law, now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Fredonia hereby adopts said local law as local law number 7 of 2025, entitled Local Law Amending Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia to provide for an increased water rate, a copy of which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, and be it further resolved, the Village of Fredonia clerk is hereby directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the local law book of the Village of Fredonia, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State by filing the same with the Secretary of State as required by law. Local Law Number 7 of 2025, this local law shall be entitled Local Law Amending Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia to provide for an increased water rate. Be it enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia as follows. Section 1, Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia, last amended on March 4th, 2024 by Local Law Number 1 of 2024, is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 287-8A, rates for the metered water service within the Village of Fredonia. A, for water supplied by the Village of Fredonia from and after September 2nd, 2025. 2025, and for each quarterly period thereafter, the following rates are hereby fixed and shall be collected on all water metered service within the Village of Fredonia, a minimum charge of $30 per quarter and at a rate of $7.60 per 1,000 gallons. Note, water rates to the town of Pomfret and town of Dunkirk water districts or other outside of Village of Water customers shall be increased accordingly as provided by the contracts with the Village of Fredonia and such outside water customer. Section 2, this local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State of the State of New York as required by law.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Nay.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Whereas proposed law number 8 of 2025, which regulates the sewer rates for the Village of Fredonia, was presented to the Board of Trustees to consider for adoption, whereas a public hearing on proposed local law number 8 of 2025 was held on September 2nd, 2025, in accordance with a notice of hearing duly posted, published in the manner prescribed by law, and all parties in attendance were permitted an opportunity to speak in support of or in opposition to said proposed local law or any part thereof. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, after due deliberation, finds in the best interest of the village to adopt said local law. Now therefore be resolved, the Village of Fredonia hereby adopts said local law as local law number 8 of 2025, entitled Local Law Amending Section 237-15D of the Code of the Village of Fredonia to provide for an increased sewer charge, a copy of which is attached hereto, and made a part thereof. Be it further resolved, the Village of Fredonia clerk is hereby directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and the local law book of the Village of Fredonia, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State by filing the same with the Secretary of State as required by law. Local law number 8 of 2025. This local law shall be entitled Local Law Amending Section 237-15D of the Code of the Village of Fredonia, to provide for an increased sewer charges. Be it enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia as follows. Section 1, Section 237-15D of the Code of the Village of Fredonia, last amended September 1st, 2022 by local law number 5, 2022, is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 237-15 sewer rent, sewer meters. For sewer supplied by the Village of Fredonia from and after September 2nd, 2025, and for each quarterly period thereafter, the following rates are hereby fixed and shall be collected on all water metered service within the Village of Fredonia, a minimum charge of $30 per quarter at a rate of $8 per 1,000 gallons consumption. Water rate, note, water rates to the Village of Pomfret Water, Town of Dunkirk Water District, or other outside of village water customers shall be increased accordingly as provided by the contracts of the Village of Fredonia and such outside water customer. Section 2, this local law should take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State of the State of New York as required by law.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell?
Nay.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye. Be resolved that the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia hereby schedule a special meeting on the 10th day of September at 6 p.m. to vote on water sources as well as grant application and seeker information for the water project, as well as anything else brought before the board in the Trustees Room, 2nd floor, Village Hall, 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York. Be further resolved, the village clerk is hereby directed to publish notice of said meeting pursuant to village law.
Before it gets seconded, are we changing that to the Opera House?
They have, Rick said it's free if we want to change it to the Opera House.
It is free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I personally would prefer that we change it to the Opera House.
I agree, just because I think that'll accommodate more people more comfortably.
I'm okay with that.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Want to read that again?
Yeah.
Okay. Be resolved, the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia hereby schedule a special meeting on the 10th day of September at 6 p.m. to vote on water sources as well as grant application and seeker information for the water project, as well as anything else brought before the board in the Opera House, Village Hall, 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York. Be it further resolved, the village clerk is hereby directed to publish notice of said meeting pursuant to village law.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell, you're
Yeah.
up.
Whereas the village operates a sewage treatment plant located in the town of Dunkirk, New York, which has extra capacity, and whereas the Portland Pomfret Dunkirk Sewer District collects sewage from its users but does not have treatment infrastructure, and whereas an agreement to process the sewage of the district would generate revenue for the village while providing a much-needed service for the district, and whereas the parties are authorized to enter agreement pursuant to General Municipal Law 119A, County Law 265, and District Resolution, and whereas the agreement is outlined as follows. January 1, 2025 to December 31, 2029. PPD is responsible for its own maintenance of lines and equipment. PPD will be charged at a rate of 1/2 times the village rate. Terms of terminating the contract for both parties, violations of the contract, payment terms, interest. Now therefore, in consideration of the agreement, all parties agree to the satisfaction of past due invoices by the PPD to the village, and be it resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to sign the sewage treatment services agreement with the Portland Pomfret Dunkirk Sewer District.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell? Trustee Twitchell?
I'm a bit undecided, Mayor, and I just would suggest we table it.
I'll second that.
Wait a minute. We're in the middle of voting for it.
If you want to table it, you should have.
Tabled it
You should have
before you read
said
it.
Before you read it, I guess, yeah.
You want me to read it again? I can go through
No,
the
I want you to, if you want to table it, you should make a motion to table it.
All right.
Well, he didn't understand that.
No, I'm just saying.
All right, I'm making
I
a
know.
motion to table it.
I'll second that.
Trustee Esperson?
Nay.
Trustee Brockler?
What's the point of table?
Well, no, it's about the rate for the,
To discuss
Only
the
charging
rate?
half the rate,
that's right.
right.
I mean, I'm good
Do you
with
want to give him a
tabling it.
deal or
Sure.
don't you?
I'll go to table.
Good.
Trustee
thank you.
Syracuse?
Nay.
Okay. It's tabled. We have two walk-ons. Trustee Brockler?
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 5520 of Village Law, the following budget transfers are hereby approved. $4,900 from F 1990 contingency to F 8330.44 purification contractual.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
We didn't get a chance to talk about this in a workshop, so I'm really not understanding what this money is going to be used for. And I'll vote nay on it right now, because it wasn't explained to us what this is for.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell, did you read the email that we got today from Municipal Solutions to explain it?
I am still voting nay.
Well, that wasn't my question. I just wondered if you had it.
Well,
Okay.
I'm still
Whereas the village
voting
requires
nay.
assistance with documents and logistics concerning state funding for water projects in the village, whereas Municipal Solutions, Inc., 62 Main Street, Leroy, New York, has offered to provide said assistance for a total fee not to exceed $4,900, whereas Municipal Solutions, Inc. is offering to provide professional services which is not subject to public bidding pursuant to paragraph 3 of the village's procurement policy. Now therefore be resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to enter into a current agreement with Municipal Solutions, Inc.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell?
Nay.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
For any reason to move to executive session tonight?
No.
If not, ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Will I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next Village of Fredonia Board of Trustees workshop will take place Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 at 9 a.m. And special Board of Trustees meeting on Wednesday, September 10th at 2:25 in the Fredonia Opera House on the first floor, Village Hall. We'll see you then, ladies and gentlemen. Have a safe night.